Hello folks, welcome back to another Wise Game video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at PvP vendors, some of the PvP sets that you're going to be able to get, and how to upgrade them. Now, as always, at first, I always have to come out with this claim that I am playing on beta, so things are subject to change when the game actually goes live. But I think it is safe to say at this time that the way that the vendors are going to work and their locations and all that when it comes to Oribus should still hold true once Shadowlands actually releases. So let's get started with Shadowlands PvP vendors, gear, and upgrades. Okay, now what I'm showing here is not going to be in the retail game. This is just for beta, so it speeds things up because we only got about another month left for testing. So they did add a vendor in beta that we could come and get currency right off the bat. So I could get tons of honor points and other kind of currency that we need now in the game. And we could see here the kind of ranks that we're getting and even mounts that we're going to be able to achieve now once we reach certain rank levels for honor points. But once the game does go live on retail, of course we're going to have to achieve these honor points and then later on conquest points the old traditional way, like always, by going into battlegrounds, by doing arenas, by doing RBGs, so on and so forth. But the main reason why I'm showing you guys all this is so that I could show you the level 125 rank for honor points. Once you achieve that, the mount that you're going to be able to get. So again, this is the mount that you're going to be able to get once you reach honor point level rank 125. And it's actually just called honor levels. So let's take a peek look at the other honor level mounts that you could get up to level 125. So there's another pretty good incentive when it comes to doing your PvP and getting honor points in the game. I'm not sure if there's going to be an honor level beyond 125. Maybe later on with new seasons and patches. We'll have to see how that goes when Shadowlands actually releases. So next on our list is let's go visit the PvP vendors. Now, going by this image right here, and I am not going to try to pronounce their names, but anyways, the vendor to the far left is going to be your honor PvP vendor. The PvP vendor in the center, who is also standing on the top there, is going to be your conquest PvP vendor. So that's for rated gear. And then the vendor off to the right is going to be your upgrade vendor, where you're going to be able to get your PvP gear and upgrade them to higher levels or ranks. The location of these vendors is going to be located in the Enclave, in the main capital called Oribus. Oribus is going to be the main capital now for both factions, Alliance and Horde, for Shadowlands. Oribus consists of two levels, the bottom level and the top level. The bottom level is going to have most of your important vendors, bankers, innkeepers, and even important NPCs that's going to start off and kick off certain quests, and even covenants. The upper level is going to consist of most travel. So this is where you would go to locate the flight masters, and eventually even portals to covenants that you opened up. So getting back to the PvP vendors, we want to go to the location where you could see my cursor on the map. So now it's time to interact with the honor vendor, which again is the vendor to the left. I'm just going to close a couple of these bags here to get them out of our way. Okay, now we're just going to mouse over some of these items here, or I should say weapons and gear. And we're going to see what their item level is. So right now, the game gave me 138s. So my item level overall is probably 138 on this character. And now we could see that the starting level of the honor gear is 158. Now, of course, I have plenty of honor to play with because the vendor gave me over 1 million. Again, you will not have that option when Shadowlands goes live. Now, what Blizzard did to the game to make PvP gear mean more is that you're going to notice that any piece of gear that you get through the means of PvP will have versatility. Versatility, quote, quote, is supposed to be kind of like a PvP stat, with combining what we used to have, resilience and PvP power, all into one stat now. I kind of still have my doubts, but hey, they are trying. It may work out great. We'll have to see. Now, as far as the PvP vendors carrying everything that you're going to need for honor gear, they actually do. And they give you a selection depending on what spec you're going to be playing. Or I should say the stat that you want to stack. So for warriors right now, we have haste and we have versatility. And then we also have mastery and versatility. And I was able to get a piece of gear for each slot that I needed. Gloves, waist, wrist. And yes, even a weapon. But how about trinkets? Yes, they do have trinkets, and they have quite a few of them. They even have the battle trinket that will also remove impairing effects. And a couple of more trinkets that you have to pick from, which will even give you a set bonus of the damage and the healing benefit of versatility is increased by 20% when in arenas, battlegrounds, and war mode. So in short, if you're still wondering, can I get a full set of PvP gear from PvP alone for honor points? The answer is yes. Okay, now that we picked up a good amount of gear right here, let's go and do some upgrades. Now, your upgrade table that we see right here is very familiar looking. We've seen this in the last few expansions, and it is now returned in Shadowlands. So many of us are already familiar with this system and how it works. It's very simple to use. By just picking your new items, placing them in the slot, and then hitting upgrade. Now, you're going to notice that each upgrade is going to cost you more honor points. And there's about 5 to 6 ranks per upgrade or per piece of gear. They're going to start off at rank 1 and they're going to cap out at rank 6. So initially that's 5 clicks per piece of gear. So will this be a long and drawn out process? Yes. Is it as bad as maybe Classic WoW? No, I don't think so. Plus, with having many more battlegrounds to play in, it's a little more enjoyable, in my opinion. As long as there is an incentive now in a way of getting PvP gear, I don't mind doing the grind. So yes, it's going to take you a very long time of doing many battlegrounds to get the honor needed to get your full set and then to upgrade them all to rank 6. And no, as we know, honor points, anything to do with PvP when it comes to a system like this and when it comes to getting gear in is not account shareable. So on each alternate tune, you'll have to do the same process all over again. I'm not sure about the honor mounts though. Those may be shared throughout the account, we'll have to see. So basically we just keep going through this process as you accumulate more honor throughout the game, which will now put you at a total overall item level of 190 once you've upgraded all your honor gear. And yes, even trinkets are upgradable. And once you upgrade them up to 190, they will turn to that purple epic color. Rated Conquest Gear. Man, I miss my arena partners. But anyways, in Shadowlands, we will be using the currency known as Conquest Points for rated gearing, which is only achieved in higher methods of PvP events, that being arenas, and also RBGs, which is rated battlegrounds. These are shown at the moment of starting off at item level 200, which is equivalent to maybe a little bit higher than what you would get in a Looking for Raid group. Now, at this moment, there is not a lot of clarification of exactly if these are going to be upgradable or not. But the way I look at it, if they don't make this upgradable, then what's the use of doing them? Sure, 200 item levels, nice for the first couple of weeks or maybe even the first month, but then after that, a mythic player would be able to kick your ass, providing that they also have some versatility gear, which we're going to look at in a few moments. And believe me guys, I took a whole day, if not weeks, when it came to researching this, to actually get a straight answer, and I'm hearing all different things. Where a few days ago I actually posted in a forum the question myself, to see if anybody really knew, and one person did answer me, and that person did make a lot of sense. So again guys, this is just going off of guesstimating and speculation. So what we think is that when you first accumulate conquest points, and as we see here in the menu, everything costs mostly 2,000, and we see a few for 1,600 conquest points. We believe that this is a given for the first time or the first piece of gear that you want to get. Again, meaning that once you accumulated your first 2,000 conquest points from doing your arenas or your RBGs, you will now be able to come here and buy your first piece of gear. Because if we notice, we still don't see a rank number on these gear like we did with the honor gears like rank 1. So now we're assuming that eventually to get your next piece of gear from this vendor right here, now you're gonna need ratings. So you may need like an 1,800 rating, you may need a 2,000 rating, you may need a 2,200 rating, and they may go up in ladders that way, which is now gonna open up other upgrades, which is fine for the players that can achieve those ratings. And I've always happened to be one of those players. I've always done arenas ever since the Burning Crusade right up to Warlords of Draenor. But a lot of those expansions, you didn't need to have ratings to get the good pieces of gear. If we take Mr. Pandaria, the only difference between a high rater and a low rater was cosmetics. As far as the stats and the item levels, we all got the same piece of gear. You know, maybe a lot of players could get a high rating if they had the perfect comp, if they knew those people that played on a daily basis or a weekly base. But realistically speaking, for the average player who's not a big popular streamer, they're not going to know 15 healers that they could pick and choose from to get a 2,400 rating with. But anyways guys, I think that that's basically how the Conquest is going to work, and when it comes to getting the Conquest gear from this vendor. Having these vendors back with a selection of all the different kind of gear that we could get is definitely a huge plus. And something else I almost forgot to mention, guys, is that the PvP vendors, I think it's the Conquest vendors, also will carry conduits. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but that's an important thing that's going to be needed now in Shadowlands. So they are doing a much better job when it comes to if you just wanted to do PvP and that's it, without forcing you to actually do raids or mythics. But let's take a look. Now before we move on here, I'm logged right into the game now, is that we're looking at the adventure guide. And I got it set on the loot table. Now, back in the day, when we used to have Resilience, PvP, Conquest, and we had the PvP vendors back then, is that there was no way at all to get PvP stat gear in PvE. So if you did a raid back in, say, Warlords of Draenor, you could not get a piece of gear to drop from a boss in that raid that had Resilience. You had to do PvP to get those gears. Now remember, as I mentioned earlier, versatility is supposed to be, it's used in both PvE and PvP, but to me, that still kind of puts a thorn in my side, because it's not just a PvP stat. So, can we get versatility gear in mythics and raids? Let's take a look. Alright, let's see here. Right here, right off the bat. Boom. Item level 233, versatility and mastery. Here's another one, hands. Item level 226, haste, versatility. Let's take a look at a trinket. Well, look at this. Here's a trinket right here. It's item level 233, and it says in the description, increasing your versatility by 98. No PvP trinkets give us that. How about a back piece? Ah, sure, why not? Item level 226, versatility and mastery. Okay guys, so what I'm getting at is, in short, I did do the math a couple of weeks ago, and I went through the whole list. Now I just went through one list right here. I didn't go through all the mythics, I didn't go through all the raids. There's only 2 out right now in beta anyways. And there was enough to fill up all my 16 slots when it comes to gear. Of versatility stat gear in PvE. But providing, okay, they did drop big time in Shadowlands. You only get, from what I understand, you get 1 drop or 1 box or something at the end of the raid that everybody has to decide over. So my understanding is not each boss gives drops now. So yes, gearing up through PvE, raids, and mythics is a lot longer now than it used to be. And then there is lockouts. They can't do them constantly. But bottom line is, they could still get that quote-quote PvP stat from doing PvE. So I just hope that like 6 months into Shadowlands, these PvEers, just because they're going to have all these fancy pieces of epics, are not going to be going into battlegrounds on their leisurely time and just kick everybody's butt. Especially when there's a very small percentage that does PvP in this day and age, and a very even smaller percentage that gets raiding gears. So we're still going to see on how all this works out, but my crystal ball kind of tells me in the long run, I'm probably not going to be taking PvP as seriously anymore as I used to once it really made sense. Now, one thing that I want to mention also, I just found out about this, so I don't have all the details, but they are going to add a cache box, or I should say a cache box, at the end of per week, which is going to have another piece of gear in that you could actually get, depending on what you do. So this is going to be linked to PvE events, PvP events, and even other kind of events in Shadowlands. So this is going to be another additional way of you getting a piece of loot or a piece of gear at the end of the week. So are they definitely making a positive step when it comes to PvP compared to like Battle for Azeroth? Well, I think almost any expansion is better than Battle for Azeroth and Legions when it comes to PvP. But I still see some improvement that needs to be done. Bottom line, PvPers should still be better equipped in the part of the game that they put all their time and effort into. The same with PvEers and raids. I don't expect to go into a PvE event or a raid and doing #1 DPS if I'm wearing all PvP stat gear. I'm fine with that concept. I think most players are fine with that concept. I just feel that Blizzard is not fine with that concept. So we'll see as time goes on and the game actually gets released. So I hope that this video helped you guys today when it came to the PvP vendors, how they operate, how the upgrading works. And again, I did record this from the beta. So, you know, things can still change. And then very soon we should be expecting the actual release date for actual Shadowlands. So with all that being said, thanks again for stopping by and watching Wise Gamer. Feel free to sub up for more future cool videos coming your way. Comment down below because as always we love to hear from you. You all have a great gaming day and we'll catch you the next time. Take care. Bye bye.